Good morning. Hello, guys. Nisarga here, and I would like to invite you for this live to talk about how we can boost up our immune system through many different aspects of our life, like movement, touch, gratitude, breath, meditation, emotions, intention, and diet. And we are at the moment in a very specific time with pandemia, coronavirus, where actually we have to start questioning and supporting each other and as a community to take care of our health. In some countries, people go into isolation, staying at home, not being able to come out, not being able to really do things that we normally do, and there's a lot of fear also coming up for each one of us. For me personally, I have to stop my work, I have to stop traveling, giving trainings, and it's very challenging. It's on many different levels, emotionally, and I feel also it has impact on my physical body and also economically. And so the problem with the situation is that nobody knows when it's gonna end up. Some prediction says few weeks, few months, maybe 1.5 years, different version, different options, and we don't know when it's gonna get better and when we can start our life back to normal, how we can start doing the work we do, and provide for our families, for ourselves. So this all brings a lot of anxiety, stress, and it's definitely gonna have impact on our health. In the same time, we are exposed to very severe virus that can affect our body, and so of course it's a flu virus, so there's no life danger at certain age, but of course for older people the virus can be life threatening. So discussion for today, life for today is to talk to you guys, and I would like to share that 8 different aspects of health that I have been exploring for last 20 years. But I would love you to stay with me and also share your vision on health, and ask questions or add to this live anything that comes to you around health and around the subject. And so welcome everybody. I see already a few people are on. Let me just see. Great. So welcome everybody. And again, if you want to add anything on this live, comment or ask. It's not gonna be short live. I sometimes make lives like very short to the point, but I think this live will be a little bit longer. So bear with me, and I hope even if few people stay till the end and get what I want to convey around health, it's awesome. So first of all, I would like to talk a little bit about the health. What is health for me? I think it's alignment of physical, emotional, and spiritual body. We all know people who might be physically very fit and in very good shape, and yet they might suffer from some illness, or they might be very emotionally disturbed, or they might even feel suffering from depression. And so that's not health. For me, health is where we can align and harmonize those 3 elements, body, mind, and spirit, that we can be fit in our body, healthy in our physical body, but also address things like our emotions, being aware of our feelings, and especially in those days when we go into fear, how we can use different tools to observe our emotions and stay present, because those suppressed feelings becomes an emotions, becomes poisonous. They poison our physical body. They diminish the strength of our immune system. So it's really important we look into our feelings. So if you are in constant stress, if we're in constant worries, anxiety, what it will do, it will tremendously decrease the immune system, and it will tremendously decrease our nervous system, that will be more vulnerable and more affected by any virus or infection. So we're going to also work on our mindset. I think the important part in the health is our intention and sense of gratitude, because I notice very often we as much as we all want health, and as much as we all understand health and taking care of our health, there might be still sometimes unconditional patterns, subconscious patterns that fires up to sabotage our health. And that could be, just taking another cigarette, or buying another can of beer, or drinking, or taking drugs, or any other ways that are abusive for our body. And those are very often subconscious patterns that we carry from the childhood, that basically states, I don't deserve health, or I want to be in a victim position, because when I'm victim, somebody will love me. When I'm in victim, when I'm injured, when I'm sick, that's the moment that somebody comes and take care of me and give me some warm hug, or will give me some love. And this is something we might be carrying from very early childhood, where as a children we have been conditioned that when we hurt ourselves and when we are in that state of victim, then the mommy, daddy comes, and then they take care of us. So how we can shift that mindset and set a new intention that I am health, I deserve health, and I am healthy also. So all these three aspects are very important, and I started my journey into health 20 years ago, in 99, 2000, when I have been studying at the university in Warsaw, and I started my first job in corporation, and I've been suffering from so much depression. I have been like, when I recollect myself back then, it's like so crazy. I was, abusive with alcohol and drugs, and disconnected completely from my feelings, emotions, very closed down, tense in my body, like really a state of big depression. And I start realizing that I have to change it. I have to start discovering what the health is for me. And that's how I started with first yoga journey, and then it took me into 2004 to my first journey to India, to start seeking a spiritual path for me. And then 2008 quitting corporation and moving full-time to Asia, where I had been traveling and meeting different teachers, different paths, and really learning the aspect of health in all these three dimensions, body, mind, and spirit, because they are very much connected to each other. So I see Barbara, hello, and there's a few more other people. If you guys hear me well, just put a thumb up, or send okay, or just give me a sign that the sound is okay, and you have a good visual. I see 6 people on live, 7. Okay, great. So at any point, if you guys want to ask anything or comment on what I'm sharing with you, please do. I'll be happy to have more interaction for this live rather than just one-way conversation. So let's start from the first aspect I would like to talk about today is a movement. And the movement is so important. Of course, everybody knows. And I think now especially I see so many people taking care of the movement. When I go to the park occasionally nearby, the amount of people that run, walk, or bicycle is there's so many people now kind of getting aware of it, and not just aware because we're all aware of it, but really putting into action. But what I want to emphasize with the movement is that I think the important part of the movement is energetical and awakening, because our body is made of joints, of bones, 206 different bones, and in between each bone we have a joint which is sealed with ligaments, tendons, soft tissue, fascia, myofascia that surrounds also muscles. And our body is designed to move. Our body is designed to bring lubrication in between those joints. In the synovial fluid that runs around the joints has to have constant lubrication so it can clear out, take the toxins away, and bring more lubrication. Our body is made of 70% plus water, and when we stop movement, that water starts kind of freezing, like imagine a pond when the water is stagnant and steady, and that water start being muddy. And then imagine comparison to that, a stream, the mountain stream that runs very fast, that where the water is clean, crystal, alive, dynamic. And the same with the body. If we stop movement, that liquidity in the body start being muddy. There is no more fluid exchange between cells, blood system, and circulatory system. So our body become numb. Also, the research has been done lately that after 20 minutes of sitting or being in one position, the fibroblasts start injecting, blasting the fiber into the tissue. And that is like hardened kind of scar type of tissue that creates the density in the body. So imagine if you are, after 20 minutes, the fibroblasts start injecting that dense tissue, let's say in your shoulders, and then let's say it lasts for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, then we might feel that tension in our shoulder or lower back, or there's some area in our body that feels so tense. So this is really important to understand the physiological aspects of being static. And so this is so important to bring that lubrication and energetical flow through the movement. The other aspect is, the lymphatic system. The pump, the major pump for our lymphatic system that is, again, detoxifying our bloodstream is our muscles. Yeah, like for circulatory system, the heart is the major pump that brings the flow in our blood. For the lungs, of course, for exchanging oxygen and carbon dioxide. But for lymphatic system, we need to constant use our muscles, contractions and release, contraction and release. And that is the major reason for lymphatic system to be able to function properly and clear up our system from toxins. And so this is so super important to finding ways to move. And for me, it's minimum 1 hour a day, minimum. It's really like total minimum. And I love running or jogging or doing unwinding. I'm not gonna show you some exercises. I recorded a YouTube video where I will send you a link afterwards for 30 minutes where I give you really exercises for each one of the chapters I am talking about. But really what helps me out is that I have this minimum 1 hour set in my daily routine that is must, and it's usually in the morning before I open computer or phone, before I go into my work or mindy stuff. Where I have clear mind, I go and I either dance or unwind or go for a walk, because that is really creating so much movement, so much energy. And you know, after 1 hour movement, it stays in your system for 6, 7, 8 hours. It gives you that feeling good sense. You know, the endorphins kicks into your blood system, serotonin, oxytocin, so it's like feeling good state. So after 1 hour activities, you will be feeling so good for a certain amount of time, because all the hormones are now injected to your body. There's a lot of oxygen also while doing exercises, that is creating energy and more aliveness. So make really important in your daily schedule movement for minimum 1 hour. What do you guys do for a movement? If you can share with me on live, those of you who are live, hi Ulas, what's your best way for movement? Just share with me so I can see if we're on the same page. What's your favorite movement? All right, let's move on. The second part that I want to talk about is the touch. You know, and touch is touch can be really for me. Touch is really important part of my life. It's you know, impact also our immune system in a way that even few minutes of, let's say, hug with somebody brings up that intimacy, and again releases oxytocin, serotonin, and so we can feel that feeling good. And there's something with the intimacy and the touch that helps us to calm down our parasympathetic nervous system for rest and digest. So it can the conscious loving touch can heal so much depression, anxiety. I think big part of that anxiety and depression in our society is that we start separating ourselves. In majority, people start separating each others. You know, in big city we can observe it. Like even if you have a neighbors on one street, sometimes people even don't talk to each other or don't. I'm not talking even about hugging, but so with this separation between people, I think, and that lack of touch, which has a great impact on our nervous system, we go into, it can be one of the major cause of depression in the society. It's separation and lack of intimacy. And you know, like touch is amazing also. Like in 7th week of the fetal development, we are already developing the sense of touch. So it's so early, already in 2nd month of being in the womb, we are already have the capacity to touch and to receive impulses through the hands and through the body. So it's tremendous important how we can bring into our life the touch, and it can be used on many different ways. You know, we can go for massage or for body work, or even, you know, exchanging with the partner or spouse the simple caress, where we can just caress the body for 10-15 minutes, and it's so much it will change your mood so much, and you can experiment, you know, tonight, exchange with your partner the 20 minutes of the caress and check and check how that affects your feelings, your emotions. So another thing about touch is, like, if we spread out our, let's say we take out our skin from the body and we spread it out on canvas, the surface is approximately 2 square meters. It's a huge surface that is available for touch, and there's millions of nociceptors, the nerve endings in our skin, that have capacity to receive the touch, and that is so tremendously impacting our parasympathetic nervous system for to bring more relaxation and calm. Let's go to the gratitude. Let's go to gratitude. Is the third aspect in all 8 ways system, and gratitude for me it's a big one. I think gratitude is something that we need to cultivate, because it brings us into a state of empowerment. And we can always see life into different ways. Something is like in the current situation, of course we can see how challenging the situation is with pandemic, and how many things will be challenging. But also when I talk to people or friends, very often I hear that there's so much good things that might come out of it, that people start getting so much closer to each other. Like I walk in the forest, and there's something like people wave to each other. When they pass each other, they wave, even if they are not in the contact, but they acknowledge each other more. And it's a beautiful thing to look into, even current situation. Okay, what good comes from that, and how we can bring gratitude even for this situation. And of course, it's not about neglecting the challenge of the situation. It's there, but if we focus on those positive aspects, we are also changing our state, going into more empowering state, that now in the state of gratitude, it's up to me to create my reality abundantly in all aspects of my relationships with the world, my spirituality, my health, my career, work, finances, everything. It's in this one aspect of us as a human being, and all those aspects are important. And so I love really bringing that awareness of gratitude. Even if I catch myself saying something as a complaint, I try to catch myself and wait a moment before I say that words of complaints, and then shift into things that are cultivating that sense of gratitude, because it's tremendously impact also our health in a way that our system surges with feeling good hormones, and then it starts shifting the way we look into life. And that also, when we are in a state of gratitude, that we send to the universe that positive vibration that will attract to us more positive people, will attract to us more positive situations, and then we can live in more positive vibes. So it's so tremendously important. I do wake up in the morning and I write a few things I'm grateful for in my journal, or I'm going to bed at night, and before I close my eyes, I just visualize my day from the morning I woke up to the moment I'm in bed, and I'm picking few things I'm grateful for that particular day, and that tremendously shifts my energy into and align me to really an amazing experiences and amazing people that come into my life. So I'm super grateful for so many things, So cultivating gratitude, I think it's a very important part of the health, body, mind, spirit. What are your ways of gratitude? Yeah, how do you express your gratitude daily? It's a daily practice for me. And so the next one would be the fourth element would be breath. And of course, breath is one of the most important element. We can live without food for weeks, without water for days. And what about breath? Of course, we're dying after a few minutes, unless you're Wim Hof. Maybe you swim under the water for 7 minutes, 6 max, and that's it. So it is so important that we bring that awareness into our breath. Daily breath practices will also expand the breath muscles. In terms of breath anatomy, our lungs located in the thorax, and many different muscles, intercostals, diaphragm, scalenes, sternocleidomastoid, that lifting the upper ribs up so we can take inhalation to the very top of our lungs. So all these muscles has to exercise every day. We need to exercise the full capacity of three-dimensional opening of our lungs. It's not just like, we just breathe. I feel that for full breath, we need at least for 5 to 10 minutes a day go into really deep breathing to 100% of our capacity in the rib cage. So, that sponginess lungs, the lungs are like a sponge. They expand and contract, and they have a tremendous capacity for expansion. But if our thorax, if our muscles, if our ribs are instead of compression, there's no much flexibility for opening, we are limiting the amount of oxygen we can take into our lungs. So shallow breathing will cause a lack of energy in our body. It might cause, also impact our feelings, more fear, more sadness, more depression. The breath can tremendously change our state. So imagine if you are, breathing shallow, your chest is collapsed. What you're gonna feel most likely is gonna be fear or sadness. And then imagine after some run or exercise that you go into 120% of your capacity, what you're gonna feel. You're gonna feel so much empowerment, so much joy, so much energy running through you. You're not gonna be in a state of depression when you are in this full breath mode. So for me, taking at least, if I go exercising for an hour, doing some movement, at least 10 minutes of that movement I spend on my 120% capacity. So I take very deep inhale, exhale and quite rapidly for at least 5 minutes to build up that persistence in my lungs, so I can contain more oxygen and more energy through the breath. So important that the breath can really tremendously change our life in so many ways, impact our energy, impact our emotions, our feelings, and of course, breath, has so many different functions, not just energizing our body and bringing more oxygen, but also detoxifying, expelling carbon dioxide from our lungs, but also massaging our abdominal region, and also through the ligaments, massaging our heart, pericardium. The biggest muscle, breath muscle, the diaphragm, is directly sitting on pericardium, on the heart. And when we are using fully our diaphragm with deep connected breathing, the diaphragm starts really moving up and down on the relaxed belly. What it also creates opening in the pericardium, massaging our heart, and that will increase, obviously, our blood circulation. And that I don't have to explain what that means, right? So tremendously important that many different exercises to breathe. In my YouTube video that I will share with you, I share a few of my favorites. One of it is oceanic wave. Every morning I wake up and I do oceanic wave. That means I arch backward, inhalation, move forward, exhalation, and deep connected breath through the mouth, like. And so I invite you to check the practices on my YouTube video. I'm not going to go there now. But so this is one way of breath that can impact our sympathetic nervous system for more activation, which I like doing in the morning when I prepare for my day. I want to be more energized, have more passion for whatever I do, and energy. And then in the evening, I would go to breath modalities that are focusing on activation of parasympathetic, for rest and digest. So before we're going to sleep, already around 7-8 o'clock, I try to switch off my social media stuff and go into practices that are mostly activating me and preparing me for sleep, for rest. One of the practices would be breathing through the nose, and I call it harmonizing breath. When you breathe, the ratio is 1-1-1-1. So 1 inhale, 1 hold, 1 exhale, and 1 hold. So that could be about 3 seconds for each segment. So you're gonna do 3 seconds inhalation through the nose, and then hold on inhalation 3 seconds, then you do exhalation through the nose 3 seconds, and then you hold 3 seconds on exhalation. And like 5 to 10 minutes of this kind of breathing tremendously impact on parasympathetic nervous system, brings you to more state of calm or relaxation, or simply vipassana kind of breath, where you sit, you close your eyes, you observe the body sensations, and you breathe very gently through the nose. You don't need to do anything and focus on anything, just watching that moisture, the temperature, the quality of the breath coming in and out through your nose. It's so beautiful exploration because it brings you in, it brings you to yourself, to your center. So I love this kind of breath when there's no any technique, you just simply there with your breath, and all what you do is just observing in and out breath. I love doing it at times when I find myself in a state of anxiety or stress. So just watching breath, simply very slow breath, and you simply watch. You slow down your breath to 4-5 breaths a minute. And that is, if you do it for a few minutes, you will feel so relaxed, and you go into such a deep spaces of meditation, timelessness. It's a beautiful space where you can really start seeing what really matters, what is behind all all our ideas about body, mind, and spirit. So very deep space of being one with all, being one with existence. And I love this kind of meditations. Brings me back to my essence, to my source. All right, let's go to the next one, which is actually continuation of breath, and it's meditation. And that is the 5th element. And of course, especially now, guys, because we are living in such uncertain state, and there's so much going on. For myself, I feel like brings a lot of anxiety for me, like what's gonna happen, like where I can start working, what happens with the I run 3 companies. I run an institute in Poland, in Estonia, and so I have to pay bills, I have to pay people, and so it's like it's really intense, and I go sometimes in the downward spiral, going into the worst scenarios, and that creates a lot of anxiety. So I think each one of us has moments, those days that we feel hopeful, when we feel trustful and aligned, and there's moments when we freak out, when we go into, oh my God, what's happening? When we go into anger, what the fuck, why this is happening, or sadness, or feel whatever it is, and it can hook us in for a long period of time. And I think meditation is super important those days to find a center. When those moments comes where we can look in and see again, we're like, okay, what is the real picture? What is the worst scenario? If I have to close all my businesses, will I still be alive? Yes, it's fine. And then meditation can really separate us from all the situation and find the real answer from the wisdom that comes from within. Because the meditation is the tool that we can descend our soul into the physical reality. That's all what it is for me. So when I go into my ego, my fear, and I practice meditation, it helps me to connect to that higher realization of who am I in the midst of all, and what is this fear about, and tapping usually into that first experience, traumatic experience from the childhood, and from there I have completely different perspective on the situation, and I can come out from all this strong feelings into state of observer. When I'm already observer, I'm not run and managed by that feelings, but I can simply observe the thoughts, the feelings, and I become more responsible for everything that I create in my reality, and that relates to my words, my thoughts, my feelings, my emotions, because nobody else in this world is responsible for my life, for my actions, for my words. This is just about how I can bring that meditativeness and be aware of everything that happens in my reality. So meditation is tremendously important, and as I mentioned before, I love Vipassana meditation. I love Osho active meditations, dynamic, chakra breathing, Kundalini. By the way, tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock Polish time, you can find on my fan page, I will be offering Kundalini meditation, 1 hour meditation, where we shake, dance, and just sit in silence. So join me tomorrow 10 a.m. Warsaw time if you are interested to meditate together. So again, like Osho active meditation is super nice, and join some, if you never practiced meditation, join some communities that are offering meditations. Nowadays there's so many people offering stuff online. Everybody's doing Zooms and live, so join somewhere that you can learn, and meditation daily, especially those days, for me it's so essential. At least 20 minutes, half an hour minimum a day, that I can reflect on myself. Before coming to this live call, I was doing Vipassana meditation. I was so anxious, going on live for a long period of time is very challenging, because there's so much fear that comes with, will I be able to deliver? Will I be able to remember what I want to deliver? And all this stuff brings anxiety. So for me, it was really important to just sit for 20 minutes and observe, where is it coming from? Where is the fear coming from? And just being able to calm down and show up in more peaceful state, where I can really be more grounded. All right. Do you guys have any questions so far or sharings? I see 3 people now. It's coming on and off. Like there's 8 people, sometimes 10, and it drops in and out. Now 4. I see Edita. Hi Edita. Hi Eda. Hi Elcha. Great to see you guys. Do you have you want to share anything about meditation, what works for you, or ask anything about meditation? I know you all expert meditators. All right, let's move on then to emotions. This is the 6th aspect, emotions. And for me, emotions is, first of all, definition of emotions is, if you look into the word, is emotion. It's energy in motion. What it means to me is emotions are dynamic. Yeah, the emotions are changing. Emotions are fluid. We will not feel one emotions for whole life. And every moment we are feeling something. There's something there, we might not be aware of it because we might be disassociating from certain experiencing or disconnecting or simply not paying attention to our feelings. But they are there. And what's beautiful about feelings, that, as I said, they are dynamic. And I think important part to understand about emotions that it's just sensations. Like if we can look into emotions as, there's impulse that comes to us, and that impulse creates a specific chemical reaction in our body, and our body out of that chemical reaction create a specific sensations. And then we translate, our nervous system translated as an unpleasant or pleasant. Let's say fear. So there's something coming out, boom, and then we feel all this contraction in our stomach. It feels like all the intestines are contracted, and we feel like, oh my God, this is not feeling good. So that's the fear. Or sadness that is so condemned by society, like, especially for men, like men don't cry, but in general people don't show their sadness because it's connected to weakness. And so we tend to avoid those challenging, or people call it bad emotions, and then everybody wants a state of bliss, joy, happy, because that energy surges through us, it's opening our heart and we feel so good. But in fact, we need to acknowledge all aspects, all range of feelings. If we just take out that challenging emotions and we cut off from that also cut off from feeling from those positive feelings. In fact, there's nothing, it's not a positive or negative, it's just an energy running through our body. So if we cut off from one side of energy, it cuts off body from sensation, period. And then we don't feel at all, either it's happiness, joy, or pain, sadness, or fear. So I think big part of my work with emotions and feelings was acknowledging, surrendering, and trusting all of it. And sometimes I catch myself, escaping from those challenging ones into different ways. We all have our own our own ways to escape, but the moment I escape and realize and I bring awareness to it, I want to come back. I want to come back to feelings, because I think no matter what is the feeling we are in, but being in a state of feelings in the moment, it's brings us to the state of love. Openness of the heart. If we feel there's something so nourishing for the heart that it can feel so good to cry, and this is such a big misconception when I work with people and I see people crying. I'm really so happy. It just touches my heart, because I know that state of big cry and sadness, it's so nourishing for the heart. And then, in society, if somebody cries, we say like, oh, don't cry, it's going to be all right. We stop it because we think it's bad. We think that person is suffering. But actually, being with the feelings, I really love encouraging in my courses or trainings or individual session, when like it's a big part of healing, being able to feel and express in present moment. It's tremendous. It has huge value. John, there's this book called Healing Back Pain by John Sarno, the professor from California, from San Diego. He died a few years ago, but he wrote this bestseller, and he basically examined hundreds of his students and people that come to his practice, if not thousands, and they were coming with pains, a lot of pain. And his main approach was working with acknowledging denied, suppressed, or repressed feelings, and expressing and even acknowledging those feelings. And 98% of the cases of people who were coming to him, even diagnosed and sent for operations or injuries, were getting better instantly. their pain was getting better. Why? Because these acknowledgement and expression of feelings also impact our soft tissue. The latest research has been done that emotions are stored in the soft tissue. And so when we have some traumatic events, let's say in the childhood, and that unexpressed feelings, usually it's fear, is trapped into our body, what it does, it contracts on soft tissue, and then the soft tissue start creating armoring in different parts of the body. It could be around our chest, collapsing our shoulders. It could be our belly, creating all sort of intestinal problems. It could be our pelvis. It could be anywhere in the body. It could be lower back. And then people suffering from those pains because that soft tissue is contracted. It presses on nociceptors, the pain nerve endings, and that creates often pain. So I see very often when people go into feelings through biodynamic breath trauma release or myofascial energetic release or even qigong or any other practices, but when those feeling aspect is addressed, it has huge impact on our health. Those denied, repressed emotions are toxic, and they create that armoring and shield that we create on our physical body, that shields that bounced off emotions. So basically, it's a protective shields that we create to separate ourselves from intimacy with the others, with the world. So big part for me of emotions is how I can, in constructive way, without hurting myself or the others, address my feelings. First, bring awareness. Okay, what do I feel? And then finding way to express my feelings without blaming others. Like, oh, they did it to me, and then now I feel. People usually are pressing buttons for us to feel something that comes from very early childhood, from some traumatic events in the childhood. So nobody's really responsible for our feelings. These are just rackets that people in present time pressing that get triggered some past conditioning and some past fear that we tend to react to. Edda said, the energize of emotion we did was amazing, which were imagining the glasses. Yeah, in BBTRS training, we do this very nice exercise when we put glasses. You can imagine glasses, and you chart the glasses with different color and with different emotion, and you might start with, let's say, gray glasses, and you imagine gray glasses, and then those are glasses that you charge with sadness, and you slowly put those glasses, and you look for the word from that sad feelings, and you connect to that sadness, and then you can throw it out, and you put up another glasses, and that could be glasses of, let's say, fear, yellow color, and you put those glasses yellow color, and you look like really with the eyes of fear, and you check inside, where is this fear in my body? And then you throw them out, and then you might put, let's say, glasses of happiness, pink glasses of happiness, and you just look, with the happy eyes in the environment. And what it creates, it's a beautiful exercise that gives and that insight about that emotional fluidity, how quickly we can change our feelings. And it all depends on our awareness and acknowledgement on those feelings. So thank you, Edda, for bringing it up. It's an amazing exercise. We call it emotional glasses. We usually use it in biodynamic breath and trauma release training. So emotions, let's go to the 7th one, and that is intention. Intention and prayer, for me, big ones. And I think that we are sometimes, we all know what health is at some, and we, to a certain degree, and we all know how to take care of our health, and And yet sometimes, very often, even practitioners who are working with the health issues are sabotaging our health through, different things. Sometimes it's maybe, going into some toxic relationship or toxic feelings, or even, smoking or drinking. They're sabotaging because subconsciously they still don't believe they can be healthy. And that subconscious programming comes from very early childhood, where we might have that belief system that maybe, my grandparent died when they were, in their 50s for a heart attack or cancer, and I will die too. And this is very strong subconscious conditioning that will eventually sabotage our actions that we wanted to take care of our health. So how to bring awareness to it for me is that intention and the prayer. And intention is a powerful way because it helps us to manifest our health into physical reality. So there is a few very simple steps for intention, because intention and the prayer can unwind those subconscious programming. And how I do it, first of all, the first thing about intention and manifestation is the thought. This is the first atom. Everything that is created in this universe, the first thing was the thought. So giving a thought to your intention is the first way to bring more awareness. So what is your intention? What is the thought of your intention around your health? This is the first step of intention and manifestation. In the second step, you have to give it the words. So you can speak it up in your mother tongue and express like what this intention looks like around your health. And in the third step, you are visualizing. So you can close your eyes and you can imagine putting on your hands that picture or video, or give it a colors, shapes, as like a projecting video on the screen while sitting in the cinema, but projecting that intention and manifestation when you are in it, imagining what is the feeling when that is already manifested. And then the fourth one is actions, taking 3 actions every day that takes you closer to your intention around your health. So maybe setting up, a 1 hour exercise, or breathing modality, or maybe meditating. So taking at least 3 steps and making those steps every day. So, and that powerfully change our subconscious conditioning around our health, and brings us also out of victim state, because that subconscious sabotaging is the victim, the feeling that victim that wants to get hurt or wants to still be unhealthy, because it's because going into empowered state is challenging, because then only you become responsible for everything. When we are still in the state of victim, we are dependent on others, because then we're depending on other people's love, on other people's care, on other people's opinions, and that is very conditioning. It stops us back and cuts off our energy. So we are living in a state of disempowerment. So by intention, by prayer, it's like a helping boost, supporting boost to come out into a state of empowerment, manifesting our perfect health, because in that state we are not anymore dependent on anybody. And so it's such a powerful way to bring the full potential for our health. And the last one that I want to talk about is the diet. And of course, What to say? I mean, there's so many different diets. I don't want particularly promote any specific diet because each one of us has to explore. We are having different lifestyle and different body types and different ways of preferences for eating. I'm personally vegetarian. Well, I was vegetarian, then I was for many years, then I became vegan, and now I occasionally eat fish, but 90% of my diet is vegan. So that means no meat, no dairy, no gluten, and it fits, it suits me. It helps me to keep my energy high, because I notice a lot of energy goes into digesting the food. So if I notice that I eat gluten heavy, sugar food, pasta, carbs, my energy goes down and I feel really heavy after meal. When I change it to vegan, with occasional fish, especially when I'm in Greece, somehow I feel much more energized. I have much more passion and more energy to. But what I want to say in the around diet is what I really recommend to avoid, and I call it crap food, CRAP. And C stands for carbonated drinks. Those drinks are killers. There's so much sugar in it. The sodas are killers, and they're very addictive. I used to drink a lot of Coca-Cola, and it took me a few years actually to release that from my system. So try reduce and drop. This is really bad. Like so much sugar, it kills our health. It really puts your energy so down. Then the second is refined sugars. Of course, all the products that contain sugar, it's really, it really create a lot of unhealth in our system. It can create a lot of illness. Actually, it can be cause of cancers, and all sort of dysfunctions for the body. Then A stands for artificial foods, all sort of chips and hamburgers and artificial food that you go to supermarket and you have tons of that. So this is also something that is not nourishing and brings your energy down. And the last one is processed food. All the food that has been going through a lot of different processes that adds up to be packaged and have no value for our health. So what I encourage around diet, fresh, organic, natural food, very simple food, best local stuff, which is available. I know now it's end of winter, so there's not much fresh fruits or vegetables, but as much as possible, organic, natural food. Avoiding crap food definitely is and just by avoiding carbonated drinks, refined sugar, just these two, it can tremendously impact your health. People by dropping sugar, losing a lot of weight, getting so much more energy. So simple things, when we start paying attention by reading labels in the supermarkets, you will see like so many products do have a sugar. So don't choose them. Choose ones that are sugar free, and there will be already a huge transformation and into your health. Right, so those were kind of 8 topics. I kind of put it together last year. Somebody asked me to talk a little bit about the health, and it was kind of coming out into this system for me. And I feel it's a very complete system because, as I said at the beginning, it combines physical, emotional, and spiritual body all together, because we cannot just take care of the physical body. If you see people just going to the gym, pumping up, being slim and having nice body, but not taking into consideration our mind, our emotions, our feelings, and our spiritual growth, it's still not health to me. You still might find those people actually going into depression, into some illnesses. So these 8 steps brings all together and gives us like really guidelines to take care of our health. Especially now with the situation of pandemic, it's so important that we look into it. And I'd like to encourage you, because sometimes to build a new habit it takes minimum 21 days. So what I encourage you, that this life is not just informations for you. I want you to take something out of it and take it home and practice. So after live, go on my fan page and check on the top wall. There's this video where I explain more about practices in those 8 segments. And for 21 days, make a commitment that you choose at least one. Maybe it's movement. And for 21 days, commit 1 hour daily for the movement. If it's meditation, commit to 1 hour meditation. And then keep on adding. If you chose movement for 21 days, maybe on day 4 or 5, add to it also meditation. Then maybe add also breath practices. So you start building a new habit pattern, so you can every day implement those 8 different elements, which is movement, touch, gratitude, breath, meditation, emotions, intention, and diet. And I can tell you from my own experience, if you start implementing those elements into your life, you're not going to believe the changes that will come for you. So keep on practicing those elements. And if you have any sharings later on my fan page, Nisarga Eryk Dobosz, feel free to share, or Integral Body Institute. And maybe there's more of the elements that you are using in your life and you would like to share, inspire community. And let's stay healthy those days. Let's meditate. Let's bring more awareness to our feelings, emotions, and stay calm. It will also pass, no matter how long it's gonna take. Maybe weeks, maybe months, maybe a year. We don't know, but let's stay calm that this will also pass, and something beautiful will emerge from all the situation. All this happens for some reason, and it's a global awakening for some ways. Even if it's painful right now, the lesson will be beautiful. And sometimes, we're going from some shock or panic in our life, and when we are in this shock, which is happening now, we cannot really see the implications of it. And then a few years later, we see, oh my God, this was life-changing experience. And I can tell you from my own experience, the most dramatic and shocking experiences in my life are the ones that awakened me and brought me to the state, to the place where I am. So I'm super grateful for those experiences, because they are really that shock is needed in nature often, and every here and there our life has to get this shock. I call it kick in the ass, that we can reflect and change and start refresh, start new, start different. So this shock, what's happening right now in the whole world, I think it's a gift that we might be able to appreciate in some time in future. So that's it from me. I'm really grateful for you guys to join me for this live. It was amazing to see you. It was 1 hour, so I think it's gonna be good to wrap it up. And thank you for watching, and a lot of hugs. And just tonight at 6 p.m. Warsaw time, I will be also doing ecstatic dance party from my home. So if you want to get your mind out of current situation, join me for ecstatic dance party. It will be live on Body Awareness Institute. And tomorrow morning, on my fan page, Nisarga Eryk Dobosz, you can join me for Osho Kundalini meditation, 10 o'clock in the morning, Warsaw time. So stay in touch. I will be offering more stuff so we can still connect it. If you have any ideas, or if you have some if you like to have some content from me, let me know. I'll be happy to create something that is interesting for you. Sending you much love. Bye bye. Have a great day.